Now the afternoon session, teaching start with Dunchen Lamala Sanjili Lakpi Mugi Marshina Hinlipji Tsanka Mamjones. Unless, do you have the root text? Good. Unless we have such a devotion for our kind teachers that we consider them as a great or greater than the Buddha, we will not receive even a single portion of their blessings. Unless we genuinely receive the blessings, the seedlings of experience and realization will not sprout. Oh, Nyoga, okay. All right. What we are talking here, actually, we're talking about two important words. By the way, if something is unclear or doesn't make sense to you, let me know. Because when I speak teaching, when I speak English, when I teach, I make a lot of mistakes because of my limited English vocabulary words and grammar, and it's not my native language. I didn't study English that much, so I make a lot of mistakes. But as long as you understand me, I don't care. But if something not right, then maybe because of the way I say it in English, so I can correct. I don't want you misunderstand anything about the teachings of the Longchenpa. So just let me know, and I can clarify, correct my mistake. So devotion. Here we are talking about devotion and blessing, right? Two things in this line, this verse, whatever you call it, devotion and blessing. So let's talk a little bit about devotion first. Which is difficult. For example, when you read the stories and biographies of, the lineage, and especially among the Nyingma and Karjut lineage, you learn that many practitioners received their realization as a result of their unchangeable devotion. You will see that, right? When you read stories of, like Longchenpa by himself, or Pater Rinpoche, or Mapam Rinpoche, or like Malaripa, or Marbalodzewa, or, Takpo Rinpoche, or, you can see their realization is not because of like steady Buddhist philosophy years after year after, like, not like that, right? Because, for example, Malaripa did not study teachings at all, but realization, comes the result of their unchangeable devotion. Therefore, particularly in the Vajrayana, as you know, devotion is very, the key, important. Mugi in Tibetan. Mu means inspiration, I think, or longing. And Gu means respect, reverence. Um, so what does devotion do? With the devotion, you really appreciate and respect the lineage, the masters, and especially their instructions and their teachings. With the devotion, you can stop hesitating, or searching. I'm just talking about the benefit of devotion, With the devotion, you recognize you are a very fortunate person. With the devotion, you realize that everything you have is very precious. With the devotion, your mind become very stable and satisfying. With the devotion, you can cultivate pure perception, which is very important. With the devotion, you see the good qualities in others more clearly than before. Do you have this kind of signs? Devotion, with the devotion, you recognize your nature mind without any mistake, which is another important, because people make a lot of mistakes, when they think, oh, I recognize my nature mind, but it's actually not. But without devotion, with devotion, you recognize nature mind very clearly in unmistakable way. With devotion, what else? Of course, you receive blessings, right? With devotion, you never give up until you achieve your goal. With a devotion, you practice diligently, prevent you be a lazy person. With the devotion, your practice and your experience grow sort of instantly. So the more you understand about devotion, your practice become an authentic and grow more and grow fast. As you practice with devotion, you will experience the truth of the teachings, and that will inspires you to further sort of discoveries, right? About your nature mind, about your limitless nature mind. So you must believe that to practice, you have believed that there is something to be realized. I mean, also without expectation, though. You must believe in the possibility of spiritual growth and your own potential. So if you have a devotion, then you will practice diligently. With your practice diligently, you will achieve realization. And that realization is different from your experience. That realization does not depend on your thoughts. When the true realization comes, there is no question about it. If there is a question about it, then that is not true realization. So you see, devotion does all of that. That's why it's so important. And devotion is a very powerful, positive force. So in the relation to spiritual life, devotion is necessary kind of like methods or tool for growth and realization, your spiritual realization. Devotion is not just some kind of belief without any reason, but you continue to receive teachings and continue to study them with your examination, investigation, and then eventually you will understand that you feel like some kind of like connection between teachings and yourself. Because right now we are very much separate from our daily life and teaching, Buddha and the Dharma. We can't mix, we can't mingle, right? So there is no connection, like there is no strong connection. It's like there is no bridge between this connection, So when you recognize you are missing that kind of connection between the teaching and your daily life, or between you and your guru, your teachers, when you understand that, then you start to look for a spiritual sort of, what do you call it? Vajrayana say guru, Mahayana say like spiritual friend, spiritual instructor, whatever you call it, and then he or she will give you instructions, and then you follow their teachings. Then you study their teachings, you meditate on the teachings, and then slowly, over the time, you will develop a genuine and strong connection with that teacher. I mean, that's how I experience it. I'm talking about this from my own experience with my teacher. I don't have devotion like when I see my teacher right away. It takes time to develop this kind of devotion with your Dharma, with your, what do you call it, practice, with your teachers, like that, So over the time, you will develop how it's important to this connection. And then that will be very genuine, not superficial, when you see somebody, you meet somebody, and you just like you give them kata. That's very superficial. It's just play each other, and then the teacher gives you, okay, this hand, you put your head, and I give you blessing. No way. I mean, we should not do this kind of superficial things. I mean, that's kind of in Tibet, involved with their culture, but you do this because of you have genuine devotion? I don't think so, right? So we develop that kind of genuine devotion. It takes for a long time to develop that kind of, connection. The more that receive teachings from your teacher, and then you put them into your meditation, you can develop your capacity. Then you really you feel like that, I received these teachings from my teacher, so that I have this kind of amazing sort of capacity. I have opportunity to develop my capacity because of my the teachings that I meditate, and the teachings come from my lineage and teachers. So that all of this kind of, then once you have that kind of situation, then your devotion will come naturally without any pressure or force. You cannot develop devotion by force. I have a teacher, so I must have a devotion and trust him and follow him, whatever he said. You cannot do that. I mean, it comes naturally if you practice correctly, follow the teacher correctly, and then that devotion become connection with your true nature, right? True nature, the nature mind. Specifically, to realize your nature mind, you need that kind of devotion to receive blessing, which is to fully recognize the nature mind. If you don't have that kind of devotion, there is no way to recognize the nature mind. I mean, that's not I'm saying. It's according to the Vajrayana teachings. It's once, so yeah, you need that kind of devotion in order to recognize the nature mind, which is the nature mind is if you want to become, you want to attain enlightenment without recognize nature mind, there's no way, right? So when you develop such a devotion, then the blessings will follow. So that is the first line. It's talking about the devotion, right? Longchenpa is talking about the devotion here. Unless we have such a devotion for our kind teachers that we consider them as a greater than Buddha. That's devotion. And then now we the second the line is talking about the blessing, right? So let's talk a little bit about blessing. In Tibetan, chinlap. I mean, it doesn't mean miracle, I mean, it would be nice, but it doesn't. Blessing doesn't mean miracle. Most people think that way, but that's I think not true. I mean, there is no such thing as miracle. So it means like transformation through inspiration. So anyone can receive blessings anytime through that kind of devotion. So Shinlap in Tibetan, Shinlap means it is possible to become a compassionate person it is possible to become a great meditator. It is possible to become a bodhisattva. It is possible to attain enlightenment this very lifetime. So you see, we have all these possibilities, potential, and opportunities. That is real blessing. So yeah. So as long as we have a mind, then basically we all have the blessings, because we all have these possibilities. That's what I call blessing. So according to the teachings, blessing exists and is possible as long as have a mind with a genuine devotion. If you have a lot of hesitations, confusions about your practice, about your teachers, about your lineage, about Buddha Dharma, then there is no way to receive blessings. Because you are separate from these possibilities, right? You have lots of hesitations and, confused, all this kind of practice and teachers and lineage, all of these things, then there's no possibilities. The possibilities that we have, I call blessing. And also that hesitations and these things are very good for beginners so that you can investigate, it's good. But, then it's also not good. That's not like proper way to practice Dharma. And if you practice Dharma, teachings incorrectly, there is no blessings. So therefore, we need a teacher who guides us and gives us all the instructions, for our practice. And receiving instructions requires that we have trust, right, and devotion in our teachers. But as I mentioned at the last class, not this time, but last the Adisha's class, how to find a teacher, how to follow a teacher, and how important it is to find a good teacher. Because you see, devotion, blessing depends on devotion. Devotion depends on how you find your teacher, and that teacher gives you the instructions. All of these are related to each other. If you miss in one, then you can't have the other ones. So there are many causes that can make us unable to practice Dharma correctly without, have a good teacher. Some people say, I don't need teacher, I just read the books and then practice. Yeah, temporarily you can. But according to, Mahayana, Vajrayana teachings, there is no way you can reach enlightenment without relying on a spiritual teacher. So therefore for us, for you, not for me, I already had my teachers, but you have to find your teacher correct way. It doesn't mean somebody has a big title, that good teacher, doesn't mean that. Somebody is famous, because of none of that. So you have to investigate, no matter how long take it. Years in in the word of my perfect is, it might take 12 years investigate in order to find out. Bhagavatam says that, and if that's the case, no problem. Why rush? Because you see, all of these things depends on your teacher. So you don't just follow somebody who is famous, who is wealthy, or who is not famous, or who is, just it depends. You have to be careful, and yeah. So, and also, these things, the obstacles, like the doubt, hesitations, ignorant emotions, so on and so forth, that makes us unable to practice Dharma correctly. I mean, if you have lots of these hesitations and confusions, if you don't have a teacher, So all this kind of disturbance keep us from connecting our minds to practice, right? That's another reason we need a good teacher who can help us and guide us, And if you already have a teacher that you don't trust and you think it's not authentic, then you don't have to blame anything. Just leave there and find another one. You can, as I said, Longchenpa had at least hundreds of teachers. You can have many teachers, or you can have just one teacher. No problem. So since we are talking about blessings here, you might think, how do we receive blessing, right? If you are struggling with your practice, or if you don't practice, then you might not be received many blessings, unfortunately. But when you receive some special oral instructions, I'm talking like how do we receive blessings? You need good instructions, I think, and then you put them into practice. And your practice will help you to receive more blessings then. And that blessing is the essence of your realization. And that realization can take you beyond your personal experiences. And in order to get all of them, you need a connection again with the lineage and teachers. And more importantly, you have to follow their practice stages. Otherwise, if there is no connection, then there are no blessings. Then there is no realization. And then there is no attainment, right? All of these things. So I mentioned this too many times, but there is the traditional saying, like from the great master, they say like, the realization is reached through the path of blessings. That blessing is reached through the path of devotion. The devotion is reached through connection, genuine connection. So blessings, since we're talking blessing depends upon your own devotion. If Buddha Shakyamuni appeared or came in front of you, give you blessing, if you don't have devotion, you will not receive his blessing. You might think, oh, I will, because even though I'm a very ordinary person, have no devotion at all, but Buddha Shakyamuni is a Buddha, so he has the power to give me his blessings. No way. As I said, that in order to receive blessings depends on your connection and devotion. It doesn't mean like this teacher is amazing, so that I will receive blessings. No way. So as I said, blessings, Vajrayana, according to Vajrayana teachings, blessings reach through the personal devotion, the connection. And that devotion, then the devotion is blessing reached through the devotion. Devotion through the blessing, the connection between the lineage and whatever. So blessing depends upon your devotion. You have to understand this. And then devotion allows the blessings to enter into you, which opens your realization. So when our minds are free from doubt, then whatever we wish can be achieved. That is blessing. So usually, of course, there are outer and inner blessings, like and the secret blessing. To recognize the nature mind is the secret blessing. And it is possible only through unchangeable, faithful devotion. No other method will work. Nyingma Lineage is one of the Longchenpa's students. They never met in person, but through the pure perception, right? So Nyingma Lineage himself called himself as a Longchenpa student, and Longchenpa was his root teacher. And he said, when I read Longchenpa's teachings, I developed a genuine devotion that made me perceive him as a real Buddha. And after that, he received instructions through, as I said, pure perception of Longchenpa. So to experience these two, devotion and blessing, each individual practitioner needs to take this process and develop these two qualities in order to achieve the ultimate goal, which is enlightenment, right? So through this process, an ordinary human being can achieve enlightenment. You don't have to be very scholarly and understand everything, all the Buddhist teachings and philosophy. You don't have, through only these two processes, you have opportunity to achieve enlightenment this very lifetime, like Milarepa. So this is why our practice works. That is a fact. This is why our lineage blessings are real. This is why all the methods, instructions that we use for our practice work. So if we have a genuine devotion, we don't need to receive a lot of what you call initiations, empowerments, and teachings. I like that. If you miss this quality devotion, then if you receive even like hundreds of thousands of initiations, nothing can change you. So our realization, I mean, myself, like I received like hundreds of thousands of initiations. Same, nothing. But I feel so sometimes I have like this glimpse of this experience or, realization that can change my attitude and my devotion and like instantly. So not like our realization comes because it depends on how many initiation, like receive initiations, not like that. Our realization could come from one word if we have a genuine devotion. If we have a genuine devotion, everything that our teachers do or their activities are initiation for us. Like you think about Milarepa, between Milarepa and Marpa, everything is initiation. So this is why devotion and blessings are the key for our practice, because of, whether the practice is successful or not depends on this too. So that's why Longchenpa, gives here, these two important qualities that we have to develop. Now, then I hope you understand these things, devotion, but it's kind of, we misunderstood a lot about this kind of like devotion, the blessings everywhere. I mean, we don't have proper understanding about what does devotion do, what does meaning of devotion, or how you receive blessings, what is blessing, So we have to really understand correctly. But we don't have much time. So that's enough. If you have questions, let me know. I will help you. Unless realization dawns from within, Tokpanani Masharnas. Sharva, shar means down, from within. Dry explanations and theoretical understanding will not help you achieve the fruit of enlightenment. Kapshit, koyer, kambo. Kambo means dry. Dry, kapshit explanations and theoretical understanding, that's not cause of enlightenment. That's what we talked about, right? No matter how much you understand teachings of Buddhism or everything, that is not the cause of the achieve the fruit of enlightenment. Okay? So this is so important to think about it, because if you consider me as a teacher, I can say I'm a Buddhist teacher. So because a teacher like myself, we have this problem. We teach all the time. That's our job. But without realization, that's what Longchenpa says here. Like that's not you, but me. Like, if you don't have realization, and then you teach, and your explanations of Buddha Dharma is dry, means like no meaningful, no essence. You see? So that's why it says here, dry explanation will not help you achieve enlightenment. So dry explanation means just intellectual understanding. Intellectual understanding means like we know everything is impermanent, but that's just intellectual. We don't have any feeling, any realization. So here Longchenpa is talking about realization. As realization down from within. Realization. This realization is about the nature mind, actually. The dzogchen realization. Dzogchen realization does not just come by itself after you receive the pointing out instructions, or after you read some books about the dzogchen teachings, or You may recognize the nature mind after you received so-called pointing out instruction, but you can't maintain it without practice. So, because dzogchen realization is not just in intellectual understanding or intellectual sort of achievement. Okay? Dzogchen realization is a direct experience of the true nature of mind. And maybe it's not right, experience. There's no such thing as experience, but dzogchen realization is just direct, recognize the true nature mind. As I said, whether you realize it or not depends entirely on your devotion and your supplications. We always say, right, please bless me so that I realize the nature of mind. without effort, without any sort of, without practice, please give me blessings so that I will achieve enlightenment. We always say that. Please bless me so that I recognize my nature mind and become a Buddha, without to go through all these hard, difficult, meditations, all this process. But the foundation of receiving blessing is our devotion, right? So Kanchen Jingme Panso said that if your devotion grows, then dzogchen realization can come naturally. You cannot choose your nature mind, okay? You cannot force yourself to recognize nature mind. It comes naturally if you have all the causes and conditions. And if we don't have genuine devotion, then these words, the supplications, initiations, instructions, pointing out, whatever it is, pointless. That's why we have to really take all these practice stages, and someone guide, and instruct us properly. Take fully responsibility. Otherwise, there's no such thing as a secret teachings. Like dzogchen teachings, usually like myself, I don't give dzogchen teachings people who not go through all this process. That's not because of dzogchen teaching is secret, but if you don't go through all these stages, then you have no foundation. Without the foundation, you can't build your house. One time, Bapta Rinpoche's teacher, Chinze, called him Chirgin Bapta, It means, Chi means dog, Gan means old dog Bapta. And Bapta Rinpoche said that was the most profound instruction he received from his teacher ever. Because for him, that name, the Chirgin Bapta, that name was not just an ordinary name, but it was very precious. Therefore, since then, Bapta Rinpoche kept that sort of nickname, old dog. Sometimes you can see, when you read his teachings, sometimes he saying Chirgin Bapta. So usually in Tibetan, tradition or the culture, if somebody call you old dog, it is very disrespectful. But for him, it was a profound empowerment. Empowerment doesn't mean like somebody give you this symbols on top of your head and you drink something. It's not, So Chirgin Bapta was the initiation for him because of his devotion. Like that, Buddha Shakyamuni, himself, after practice 6 years, and when he reached enlightenment, he said that I have discovered a nectar-like wisdom realization that is profound, that is peaceful, that is unconditioned, that is dimashi, uncompounded, wasal, luminosity. That is exactly how we realize the dzogchen. Profound, peaceful, uncompounded, luminosity, beyond everything. All this delusion and concept, that is the dzogchen realization, the nature mind. But Buddha also said that I have this kind of realization, but no one will be able to understand it if they are not good connection or without good foundation. So, when I think about all these teachings in Yeah, I'm so grateful. Anyway, I received all these transmissions and studied with my teachers for many, 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 many years. Yeah, so finally, after 30 years, I feel like, my devotion is definitely growing. So therefore, from my own experience, definitely devotion is the key. Okay, now, next line is Dorna Ramarji Chudamandina Chup Zunian Zamjin Guba Mogon. This Longchenpa's these teachings are so profound, I think. So I like Jip Zamla Tincha Gumit Sums. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional today here. But I'm very happy to give you this transmission. It's so powerful if you really think about your practice, not just intellectual, but so you have this transmission. So that's I'm very happy. And now the translation, this line is, to put it simply, Dornas, unless we mingle our mind with the Dharma, it is pointless merely to adopt the guise of a practitioner, which means superficial practitioner, restricting ourselves to only basic sustenance and shelter. Let us regard everything else as unnecessary. Gumisums. Okay. It's difficult for us So now here Longchenpa is talking, about how to become a genuine Dharma practitioner. As a genuine Dharma practitioner, we should try to have less sort of, what do you call it? this luxury and less attachment to so many things, as I said, that are not really necessary in our lives. I mean, that is very possible. As I said many times, you know, the joyful mind, the comfortable, you know, whatever you call it, comes when there is a satisfaction with your life. If we don't sort of cherish ourselves so much and can be satisfied with what we have and content with whatever happens, that will lead to a healthy, joyful, comfortable mind. And if we are free from dissatisfaction, then really, really happiness will come in all situations. We are very unhappy because of we never satisfied with what we have, which is we possess all these good qualities and possibilities, but we just never value that, you know, and we just always looking outside in these luxury things and become famous and wealthy. And I don't know, the ordinary people is very important, but for Buddhist practitioners, these are not important at all. Kamala Shila says, like, limit your desire, practice contentment, and his stages of instruction, Gomram, you know, meditation, which means always being satisfied with what we have. I mean, it doesn't mean that we cannot have anything. If we consider ourselves as a genuine practitioner, it doesn't mean that. But we have what we need. I mean, the logically, it makes sense. I mean, you know, and that's probably enough. Even if we don't have any extra things, you know, people die. When people die, they left like hundreds of thousands of, you know, money for their children. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to do that. I mean, maybe your culture, I don't know, but you don't need what I'm saying, the extra, you know, whatever you need, you have, that's it. You know, otherwise, you know, Muhammad said that no matter how much samsaric work we accomplish, we are never, ever satisfied. We always think, right? We always think, I don't have this, I don't have that, I should have that, you know, I deserve it, that, you know. So by thinking like this, we create a strong desire and attachment, and we create our dissatisfaction, you know. So I think the main problem with this samsara, whatever, is too much greed, too much, you know, very, you know, these strong desires. There is no really ultimate sort of satisfaction in our mind. Too much greed and desire is the cause of not becoming a genuine Dharma practitioner. So we are talking here about a genuine Dharma practitioner. Otherwise, of course, ordinary people would like to have everything and extra, but as you consider Dharma practitioners, so then, you know, for us, you know, the satisfaction is very, very important. Okay. Now, let me see. 2 feet, 230. Okay. Lama namjir gomshang sorwa tsejik da dabatang gebjir tamchi gebjir chipshet tamchi pama simchinji tonda mukji duglani chehyong alami tukji goms. Practice Guru Yoga sorwa tsejik da supplicate one-pointedly and direct all virtues, actions to the benefit of all beings. All benefit of all beings, pamas, your own parents. Whatever you encounter, be it happiness or sorrow or suffering, good or bad, strength and sin, it is the kindness of your guru. Okay, here is talking about guru again. And guru yoga, I mean, he says like practice guru yoga right here. So first of all, we say, we all have Buddha nature, right? And it is not too far away from us. I mean, it depends how you value it. And this Buddha nature is the most important thing that we have. Really, it really much more important than have millions of, things, dollars, whatever. It's really, really important thing, and that we have. So basically, Buddhism is all about Buddha nature or the nature mind. During the Buddha's time, they learned about the mind all the time. They meditate about the mind all the time. They talked about the mind all the time. They paid attention to the mind all the time. Seems, they only cared about the mind at that time. That's why I think during the Buddha's time, there were so many great practitioners, many scholars, many, bodhisattvas, many, arhats, and, but then slowly, somehow, it diminished. And now we don't care about mind at all. We don't pay enough attention to it. We pay always attention to the outside, how to make this, how to build this, how to, just opposite of that time. Just to focus on the outer world. That's why we have achieved so many of these samsaric things, right? Who, like, we reached on the moon. We have that kind of capacity, but we have not achieved much with the mind. You see these days there are less and less good practitioners, less and less good teachers. So I think we need really to pay more attention to the mind, because, develop our minds. Very important. Inner peace, great wisdom. So we have within ourselves the potential to develop these qualities, but they will not develop by themselves if we don't practice. So again, please practice. In order to recognize the fundamental nature of mind, we have to practice Guru Yoga. I mean, the ultimate Guru Yoga practice is to understand about oneself, the mind. So the goal, the aim of meditation is to transform the mind. So Guru Yoga is a practice that makes it possible to cultivate and develop our human qualities like compassion, wisdom, recognition, all of that, and more importantly, to realize the nature mind through practice Guru Yoga. As temporarily, the cloud obscured the sun, right? But sun is behind the cloud, and eventually they were separate from each other. So the ultimate nature of mind is right here, behind all these concepts and emotions, thoughts, and that obscured it. So the best way to work with our mind is through meditating on Guru Yoga, So when I say practice Guru Yoga, you may think about teacher and student relationship and all of that, right? For example, like you visualize your teacher right in front of you, and then you recite the Guru Yoga sadhana and try to sort of mingle your mind with your teacher's mind. That's not how you practice the ultimate Guru Yoga. The ultimate Guru Yoga practice is about your mind. It's about your nature of mind. That's why what we call it inner Guru. So today we talked about devotion and blessings, which are related to the Guru, right? So again, please make sure that you follow your Guru according to the teachings. In order to realize the inner Guru, of course, the outer Guru is also important. So we really need to, I think there are lots of, I always blame, these gurus and teachers like that. I mean it. Okay, just there's so many, people are very ignorant, I think. This word is not pleasant, but we have to find our guru and follow them according to the teachings. So in order to find your guru, first you have to educate yourself. What is the characteristic of teachers and students, all of this? Not according to their fame, their reputation, wealth, and big title, holiness, whatever, these kind of things, Longchenpa says, do you remember this? So important. This is how you find your teacher. In the beginning, skillfully examine the Guru. In the middle, skillfully follow the Guru. In the end, skillfully receiving Guru's realization and blessings. A disciple who does that is on the authentic path. Longchenpa says that. We do opposite of that all the time. Opposite. Do you understand what I mean? Like opposite? In the beginning, we follow a guru without examine, because of famous, because of wealth, all of these kind of things. We don't examine the guru and then follow. And then, of course, in the middle, then we start to examine the guru, which we should not do. Of course, then the guru is still like human being, making a lot of mistakes, and then you blame the guru, and then in the end, you abandon the guru, break the samaya vows and all these things. So it's so dangerous time these days. So that means we don't have a correct understanding of the meaning of guru, outer guru. And then later on, you start to have a concern that you don't have enough devotion, right? Oh, devotion is so important. Recognize my nature, my whatever, but I don't have a genuine devotion toward my guru because of, he make these things, she make these mistakes and this and this. You start see these faults, and then you look down yourself, like, oh, I don't have realization because I don't have genuine devotion. The problem is you pushed yourself over the edge way before you are ready to follow a guru. Then you start develop some negative opinions towards that guru, and then start blame teacher, right? Then you just angry instead of practice devotion, Then not only a teacher, then you start criticize the Buddhism. Yeah, so that is happening. That will happen for sure. So anyway, I'm not going to blame, all of this. That include myself. Yeah. So that's very important. You need to practice Guru Yoga, right? The Guru Yoga could be outer Guru, practice with outer Guru, could be inner Guru, it depends. But you need really find a good teacher, okay? Now, we're going to meditate for a few minutes, okay? Practice Guru Yoga, practice inner Guru, okay? Since we're talking about that here. Very simple way. I like to keep my practice very simple as much as I can. So that means you always correct your motivation, practice refuge, bodhicitta, and then you meditate, right? So looking at your mind, how do we look at our mind? It means looking at your mind means when you look at your mind, there is action, right? You sit and you look at your mind. That act of looking is enough, nothing else. So when you do this, you are already without thought. When you, as soon as you look at your mind, at that moment, that instant, you don't have any other thought. So looking at the mind and then just observe, just relax, be aware and relax on it. Relax on it means maintain, look at mind, just like very gently, continually, like that. The more you do that, it brings a deeper level of insight of your mind. And this way, when you are focusing on your mind, your concentration is directed towards looking at your mind. When you meditate like that, if you find that your mind is thinking, then what you need to do is bring your mind back, relax your awareness just be aware, and then you can enter more deeply into the sort of realization of, the self-awareness. I mean, most of you receive lots of dzogchen teachings, I'm sure. So if you have that kind of instruction, then just the first looking at mind and relax, this is the foundation. This helps you to go deeper and to recognize the self-awareness, and then just meditate on that. If you don't receive any dzogchen teaching, then just looking at mind, be aware, and try to relax on that, maintain on that, just to remain in the present moment. You appreciate a lot. As long as you live in the present moment, you really appreciate your life, appreciate everything a lot. Once you lost that, then you are daydreaming. Think about past or future and all of that. But if you just present moment, you can stay there, then with your whole strength and focus on that sort of what we call self-awareness. And as you sort of more and more practice like that and familiar with sort of this meditative awareness, your thoughts will bother you less and less and less. Okay, that's the point, without any expectation, So let your thought arise naturally, don't create any, particular thought, or don't try to stop your thought. Just try to be nature and be aware of everything. If you do that, if it can helps you learn how to continue open and without sort of losing your self-awareness. Okay? If it is difficult to meditate like that, or on your sort of natural awareness, then you can just focus on your breath sometime. You breathe in gently, you breathe out gently, goes along with your mind. You try to combine your breath in your mind, your awareness. Just do that for a few times, and then after that, you can relax more and then go back to meditate on your awareness without breath practice, So that's it. Very simple. All right, for 5 minutes again.